Minister of State Petroleum says the oil sector needs huge investments to the tune of $100 billion. And federal government sells 79.62 billion naira worth of bonds in its second bond auction for 2018 out of the 100 billion naira on offer. Plus, Federation Accounts Allocation Committee (FAC) disburses 635.554 billion naira to the three tiers of government in February meeting. Details of this and developments in the capital market and more on Business Express. I am Moplang Dakok. The Minister of State Petroleum Resources, Dr. Ibe Kachukwu, on Thursday said the oil sector needs huge investments to the tune of $100 billion. Kachukwu said this while reeling off the urgent needs of the sector at the closing ceremony of the just concluded Maiden Nigeria International Petroleum Summit in Abuja. Ibe Kachukwu reiterated the need to look at investments, adding that what they have done over the last 2 years has helped.
Believes that the oil sector is not as transparent as it should. So a whole amount of work, given the fact that the cardinal focus of this administration under yours and the president's leadership is anti-corruption, we must ensure that whatever we do, we continue to give serious attention to the issue of transparency.
The Debt Management Office, DMO, says the federal government sold 76.62 billion naira worth of bonds in its second bond auction for 2018 out of the 100 billion naira on offer. The DMO indicated in a circular that more than half of the total subscription was skewed towards the 10-year bond. It also noted that while the 10-year bond was oversubscribed, the 5-year bond was undersubscribed. The three tiers of government have shared a total of 635.554 billion naira as revenue that accrued to the Federation account in the month of February. Accountant General of the Federation, Ahmed Idris, who presided over the meeting, noted that despite operational challenges in oil exports, there were significant increases in oil royalty and value-added tax.
Compared to previous month, in absolute terms, the figure for this month is higher than that of the previous month. And the explanation is that last month we had to augment.
Excess crude account now stands at $2.317 billion and excess petroleum profit tax $133 million. The contract termination controversy between Intel's Nigeria Limited and the Nigerian Ports Authority (NPA) may soon ease off following the payment of $42.6 million, equivalent of 13.2 billion naira by Intel into the NPA Treasury Single Account (TSA). The managing director of NPA, Hadiza Bala Usman, stated this while addressing members of the House of Representatives ad hoc committee probing the matter, saying that the company, after receiving termination notice from the agency, wrote to apologize for not complying with the TSA directive and the new sharing formula. She said as a result, Intel has paid the sum of $28.1 million into the agency's TSA account with a notice of additional $14.5 million said to have been paid, but yet to be confirmed by the NPA. As the federal government continues its self-reliance and youth empowerment drive, it is renewing the Made in Nigeria campaign to open more opportunities for entrepreneurs. Let's now take this report from Musa Abubakar.
The federal government has continued to lend support to small and medium enterprises in its bid to enhance diversification of the economy. This time it is a 30% incentive in the One Local Government, One Product OLAP initiative. This came to the fore when the facilitator of the Made in Aba Fair, Senator Eyinaya Aberebe, visited the Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, SMEDEN, to seek more support for local patronage, which has received tremendous backing, particularly from the Nigerian Navy.
It is a multiplier effect that comes with local production that helps everybody.
If we in Nigeria can consume as much, we shouldn't even think about export. But the population is there. Yeah. You know, but with time, as time goes on, we can now concentrate on export.
They agree that promoting sustainable economic development through the local market will give room for wide-range expansion.
The Made in Nigeria campaign is hinged on the One Local Government, One Product OLAP, an initiative of the Small and Medium Scale Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, SMEDEN. We are now being joined by the Director General of SMEDEN, Dr. Diko Umaru Rada, to bring us up to date on the initiative. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure being with you.
Could you give us an update on the progress made so far?
Thank you very much. As you had rightly said, OLAP is one local government, one product. It's a concept that we have borrowed from Japan. In Japan, what they call it is one village, one product. And the essence of having it is to identify products which have a competitive and comparative advantage in that local government, and try to see how we can develop that product which can scale up to the export level after the local consumption. And this program has been with us since 2004, but it has never seen the light of the day in terms of implementation until the year 2016, in which we were able to have some pilot programs. We selected 5 locations across the country. And having done that, all the 5 locations, as I speak with you today, they are all ready for inauguration. In fact, next week we are going to inaugurate the one in Katsina State, and then it will follow up with the one in Kaduna, one in Abuja, one in Anambra State, and the other one in Oshobo in Osun State. But what we really mean by OLAP is that identifying one product, as I have mentioned, that has competitive and comparative advantage, then try to see how we can form those cluster of organic clusters, those people that existed and doing a kind of business in a particular place. We identify them, we form them into cooperatives. After forming them into cooperatives, then we did a need assessment and sensitization on what they require to develop their businesses to the higher level. Then we will identify the kind of machines, the gap they have in that aspect, and then our agency will buy the machines together with the cooperative on what they needed and at the price they want to have it. Then after having the machine, then we hired a workspace for them, in which we keep them, and that machine will be a common facility for all the members of the cooperative, that whoever want to produce anything, particularly he can use the machine. And before we do that, we have also have a package which comprises a capital, a working capital, because you may have an improvement on the machine, you may have that, but you need some money because you have been operating at the lower level. Now that you have machines that you can scale up your production, you need to have a working capital which will enable you to have available raw materials that you can use to produce.
Can we talk about the challenges of finance or accessing capital?
Are
we still having this?
Initially, SMEDEN is not a funding agency. Okay. So and largely we have been doing technical things. But we found it that what the major problem with MSME in the country is that the cycle is not complete. Maybe you build the capacity of the entrepreneur, you give him the necessary business support, but you have to complete the cycle by providing funding to enable them grow. And that is why we developed this concept of a program which we embedded a financial component in it so that the program will be a complete cycle from the capacity building, from identification, capacity building, business development support to provision of the necessary finances they needed to scale up their products.
You pay 30%, they pay 70%. So what's the interest rate?
In fact, the interest component of we had an agreement with the microfinance bank. They are not going to charge interest on this, but rather they will charge administrative cost of administering the money and monitoring it and recovering it, but we will pay them administrative charges from our agency to enable them to perform that duty, but it's an interest-free loan. Yeah.
Thank you. SMIDA will be participating in the 5th meeting in Aba Fair, scheduled for next week, with more than 190 exhibitors expected. What should Nigerians look forward to?
You know, this has been a yearly event. It has been as a result of the collaborations we normally have with the National Assembly people who have constituency project, the domicile in our agency, which is provided for the empowerment and the general development of MSMEs in their various constituencies. And this job in particular was brought to us in our agency by Senator Abarebe, who came from Abia State. Yes. We know Abia is one of the centers of macro and small businesses in the country, yes. And they have a particular interest in the kind of product, because the product that we call Aba, made in Aba, they are a very, very popular product in Nigeria. And these are products that we will find even in the international communities, especially in West Africa. And then we collaborated with him and see how we can showcase these potentials of these people to the general world so that those products can be marketed internally and internationally.
It's been interesting for traders in the Nigerian stock market in the last 2 days as investors get good deals. Here's Musa Abubakar with details of activities.
Nigerian Stock Exchange Wednesday closed 0.24% higher at 42,258.78 basis points, while market capitalization stood at 15.1 trillion naira. A total of 342 million shares, valued at 3.094 billion naira, were traded in 4,943 deals. Total, Nestle, and Flour Mill topped the gainers table, while MB Dangote Cement led the losers chart. Fidelity Bank, Skybank, and FBNH had the most shares traded.
Away from the capital market, the federal government of Nigeria, in realization of the fact that the country's low tax revenue could be due in part to lack of awareness among the citizens on tax payments as civil obligation, besides willful acts of tax evasion, decided to grant a period of tax amnesty to all taxpayers who are in default of their tax liabilities. In furtherance of this resolve, the federal government, through the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, in his capacity as acting president on June 29, 2017, signed the executive order which provided the framework upon which the Ministry of Finance, Joint Tax Board, and the Federal Inland Revenue Service have jointly established the Voluntary Assets and Income Declaration Scheme, VADES. VADES, which was made available for taxpayers for only a period of 9 months, took effect July 1st, 2017 to end March 31st, 2018. Among the objectives of the scheme are provision of a time-limited tax amnesty to taxpayers who are in default of their tax obligations, to enable them regularize their tax positions without a payment of statutory prescribed penalties or fear of criminal prosecution for tax offenses. Enhancement of tax to GDP ratio for the country and attainment of better rates of tax awareness and compliance among Nigerian citizens. With just a little over a month to the expiration of the amnesty period, Business Express takes a look at the gains of VAT so far and other matters arising. I'm now being joined in our Lagos studio by Albert Folorinshaw, a taxation expert of Pedabo Professional Services. Welcome to Business Express. You are a taxman. Why does it seem that Nigerians are averse to paying tax?
Well, I will not say Nigerians are averse to paying tax, but of course, the level of tax awareness has been very low, okay? And the key question people ask is, what has the revenue generated from the tax collection? What has it been used for? That is the general question they ask tax consultant, they ask tax authority. So government needs to be more responsive, government needs to be more accountable, so that whatever you are contributing by way of tax, you know, you will be able to ask questions. And so if Nigerians are, you know, now responding by paying their taxes, definitely they will want to know exactly what the funds generated from the tax revenue has been used. And so that may be the reason why there seems to be some unclear attitude to tax revenue. But if Nigerians are made to pay their taxes, government will definitely have to account for the usage of those tax revenue. So I believe that it is because a lot of people believe that this fund may just find its way to private pockets, and because those amenities that you tend to pay tax for are being forced to be provided individually for your own use, as opposed to being provided by government. Those are the issues people raise when it comes to why they don't want to really pay tax.
Okay. In your opinion, what happens after the 31st of March? Are we likely to see any extension?
Well, it is scheme specifically for 9 months, from 1st of July 2017 to 31st of March 2018. The essence of the scheme is to give taxpayer opportunity to regularize their tax status pending the expiration of the scheme. Of course, during this scheme period, which is the 9 months, the tax authorities, in conjunction with the Federal Ministry of Finance, information on taxpayers are being collated such that at the expiration, taxpayers who have not come forward will now be requested, or the tax authority will now carry out the normal duty on it. So that is what is expected to happen after the expiration of the scheme. But of course, like I said, if we look at the level of response and the increase in that inquiry level now, I'm not against extension. Also, we know the general approach of Nigerians to issue of taxation. But of course, in the last 2 or 3 months, so to say, a lot of people have come forward, a lot of people are making inquiries. In fact, a lot of people are already filing the declaration, making the declaration to the relevant tax authority where they are resident. And so we can say it is good, but it can be better, definitely. And I believe that as the end of the scheme comes closer, a lot more people, just like Nigeria normally wait for the last minute, a lot more people will come forward, particularly when we're now having, you know, this pressure from outside Nigeria, and of course, also pressure from the various tax authority and the Ministry of Finance, particularly. So a lot more people are making inquiry, a lot more people are putting their records together, and definitely it will achieve the purpose. Thank you.
Very much, Mr. Albert Folorinshaw, for joining us from Lagos. Let's see current available figures from the commodity market in Nigeria and beyond. The global market has continued to respond to political and economic developments. Let's see what the latest changes are as we join Bosede Abel.
Mostly closed down. South Africa JSE fell 0.91% to close 51,258.52. Nairobi SE declined 0.28%. Namibia and Ghana's GSE also depreciated 0.25 and 0.20%. Tunidex made 0.64% gain. European stocks closed just below the flat line Thursday afternoon. UK FTSE performed badly, closing lower by 0.4%. The French CAC and German DAX were both close to the flat lines. Asia markets were mixed Thursday afternoon, a lower finish in US stocks following the release of the latest Federal Reserve's minutes. Japan's Nikkei closed down 234.37 points at 21,736.44, while Shanghai Composite finished 2.17% at 3,268.73. Hang Seng Index closed down 1.48%. In US, Nasdaq Composite closed lower for a fourth straight day. It ended the session 0.1%. Dow Jones closed 0.66% at 24,968.48, while S&P ended Thursday's session 0.1% higher at 2,703.96.
We wrap up with a look at how major currencies around the world are trading this Thursday. That's Business Express for today. Do make it a date with us next week, Monday. Until then, keep thinking and talking business. I am Moplang Dakok.